I'm gonna have to get you a new notebook. Okay. You made it through your first notebook.
All right.
No, you-
Tom and I will talk.
I'm calling meeting to order. Attendance, please.
Supervisor Holdridge.
Here.
Councilmember Ardisana.
Here.
Councilmember Becker.
Here.
Councilmember Courtney.
Here.
Councilmember Dysinger.
Here.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. We are only a cool 19 minutes late. Sugarloaf Chamber of Commerce request on peddler permits. Would members of the Chamber of Commerce step up and to the podium? Thank you for being here.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So if I know you, me, and Linda have some conversation over the email, but I have, I believe, forwarded that to the rest of the board, but please just refresh the board as to what exactly, the issue is with the peddler permits and what you might request as a solution to this. I know that I actually, through, help of my attorney kind of put something out there. So let me go through what you'd like to go through, I guess. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I have a couple notes just to recap our situation. Because this peddler's fee, I don't think so far in the 50 years the festival has happened was requested prior. So we don't really have that built in our organization, whether it's on pricing or admin. So there's these two sort of points. So basically, at the price requested of $50 per weekend, basically per vendor, that cost might deter a lot of vendors from participating to the festival, which would result in a substantial financial loss for the chamber. It's a tough time for a lot of small businesses right now, so we want to avoid putting an extra financial burden on the artists and artisans we support. But also the chamber can't really absorb that big of a cost, that fee per vendor, because then we would not be financially viable. The second point being the administrative workload. That's of an individual fee. The festivals are organized by unpaid volunteers, me, who already donate a lot of time to make sure the festivals happen, and it benefits the whole hamlet, all the businesses, everyone in there. So adding to that workload by having to ensure that all 60 to 90 vendors have completed a separate form in the week or weeks leading up to the festival is really something we would have a hard time accommodating. I could go through the whole organization of the festival, but just let me know if you want all the details. But yeah, so that's why we're hoping to come to a solution that we would be open to to pay a blanket fee per festival. Ideally, that would cover everything. And yeah, if we also collect a lot of information. I looked at the form online, so we can also share that information that we collect of the vendors, names, addresses, business names, etc. Anything to help. So yeah.
So the reason why this is an issue now is obviously we own the road now, so that's why the permits weren't asked of them in the past. Because it was Orange County property, not Town of Chester property. Last year, we did ask for that, but through either miscommunication or lateness or for whatever reason, it was just a little too late in the process for the Chamber of Commerce to accommodate that. So that kind of was let go. But this year, we wanted to make sure that we do the process right. We do have a peddler's permit that we need to.
Put in place.
Yeah, well, we have it in place. We need to satisfy it in some way. So I know, Liz, you were kind of behind the blanket proposal.
It's ultimately a business decision for the board.
Yeah.
In cases like this where it's not one or two, you might have what I call a bulk peddler's permit, the permit fee should be enough to, recognize the salary of the time, the officers that need to, go through and do background, to do a check. I know I previously served on the Warwick Applefest Committee. The Village of Warwick does something similar where it's a larger, single application. There, every vendor is required to have a certificate of insurance. You might want to speak to your insurance agents about that.
We have them have
Yeah.
here too.
We found that vendors struggled with the certificate of insurance. If you're an existing business, it's not so hard to get. If you're, Jane Doe who's, making something small and they're, a certificate of insurance could be several $100s, and as a result, the day's not worth it.
Yeah.
So that's something to consider. Again, I do recommend that the town consult with its insurance carrier on that. But you certainly, ultimately, it's a business decision for the board. However they want to go, we can structure it. However, it's a matter of adjusting the fee.
And right now, Linda, it's $25 per.
$25 per day.
Mhm.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
For the food trucks, those vendors, do you vet them? Do you see that they have their
DOH
county?
DOH certificates,
Permits.
yes, permits, everything. We don't accept anyone without all proper documentation. So for regular vendors, we do ask for a certificate of insurance. There's like little websites, they can get one for $30 to $40 to $50, but that covers the year. So they would be covered for both festivals and any other events we would throw. And for food vendors, we do ask them to have their permits. There's a Department of Health certificate completed and up to date.
You probably get inspected as what you,
Yes.
DOH probably shows up the day
Yes.
of. Yeah.
Do
Yes,
you
some
know
of
how
them
much
choose.
The
Sorry,
liability is on the insurance?
I'm sorry. Can you say
Do you
again?
know what the liability coverage
amount.
is on the insurance?
On I believe it's $1 million. I don't have that with me, but I think that's the number I recall. One or three. One of
One
those.
to three?
That's about what we usually have, right?
Yeah, it's normal.
What does the board think about this? Blanket fee versus,
I
enforcing
think
those
for
met-
bigger venues, we should probably have a blanket fee. I mean, that probably makes the most sense.
Yeah, I don't have an issue with that.
And the county had nothing in place of their own in the past. They just allowed the festival with no,
Yeah, I couldn't find any trace of any record of.
so theoretically, whenever you did the festival in the past, you just reached out to the county, say, we're having this, and they gave you your blessing, and you basically had to.
Well, so I wasn't part of the festival planning committee
Okay.
yet, but what I understand is that they would reach out to the county and ask to close the roads, and that would be
Yeah.
the fee. That was a
Okay.
fee to close the road, and that was
That was,
what was paid for. But after that, it was.
And you don't know what that amount was?
I'm not sure.
How many vendors do you usually have at these? Would you say?
It varies. So I said 60 to 90. That's spring is a little smaller, fall is much bigger. So that's what we usually gravitate around. But depending on the years.
So an average, just put out there 75 on average.
Yeah, I guess the last fall we had around 70.
Okay. That times 25 is like 1875. I imagine that is not something that you'd be comfortable with
It's a bit
paying
steep.
times 2 for each, festival. That's,
Day.
oh yes, I'm sorry, each day, 370, 3750. So I guess we need to obviously accommodate, but we need to work with us on it. So I guess is the chamber prepared to throw out a number at this time for a blanket fee or for this event?
I want to say we were looking at being. I would have to go back to everyone, but I think in our last discussion we were hoping for some like 500 per event tops. That would be something we think we could
Per event or per day?
per event.
Okay. All right. Does the board have any questions or comments about that?
No, I think we'll have to.
Consider it.
Yep.
Yeah. Anything on this end of the table?
I think we're good. I'd like to consider it and
Yeah.
see what we can come up with and make sure it covers what we need, just make sure we're, the town is protected with, the insurances and everything to make sure it takes place.
Yeah.
And the fee
Ditto.
should be, again, the fee should be calculated to roughly cover what your costs and the time and personnel to.
Correct.
So that's something we have to
Administer that
reference
fee.
over to the
Yeah.
chief to see what he has to put into
Right.
this to make it happen.
Linda's office will have some, so when you think that, whatever that number is, and I'm not suggesting a number, right?
Yeah, I don't know if
See,
the
I just
highway
don't-
department has to do anything with barriers or this or that.
They may
or
have to,
it's-
but
Right, and it's not necessarily gonna be a dollar for dollar, it's just, that's the intent. This is not a money-making
I reference
exercise.
this back to when you did it with the county, I'm sure the police were there also, and I don't know,
Our police.
Our police.
our
Right.
police were there and we weren't charging
Anything.
anything for that, so it's
Most
like,
municipalities
Yeah.
do not charge for those types of.
yeah, so I don't see that being it, but that's
Yeah.
something that we'd have to discuss with the chief to
Mhm.
make sure that he has the capability of doing that for
I
us.
can tell you what Applefest pays. I can tell you after discussions with Chief Rader, it's nowhere close to what is actually incurred.
Yeah, well, there's also,
Yeah.
we want to promote small business and help out our local organizations like the chamber. So,
It's a business decision.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll consider this, and I think I'll probably have something on the agenda for a resolution at the next board meeting, which is the 26th.
I may have to do a local one, so just if you want to have a discussion, I can have that prepped.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, and can I just ask a question?
Yeah.
If we do the blanket fee, is on our end, what kind of information would you require? What does it entail on our end? Or do you know, or?
So I'm guessing it's just the sharing of the
Insurances.
certificate of assurances and all that.
It's
Yeah.
As
that
a-
and
okay,
it's
as a-
Yeah.
The basic information that we require from peddler, we're just
Yeah.
not requiring them to file an individual permit.
Vendors, contact information,
Right,
certifications.
'cause I saw on the peddlers form, there's all the vehicle information. Those vehicles are parked outside the festival.
In those instances, it wouldn't apply.
It would imply, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Anything else?
That's it.
All right. We'll try to get this worked out and
Thank
get this
you.
figured out for you.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Have a good day. Good luck.
Thanks.
The next festival is May what?
24
May 24th and 25th.
So we gotta-
And when do you guys start kind of collecting peddler applications from all the vendors?
Well, I was waiting to have everything in order before communicating about the festival.
When do you usually start?
I mean, it varies year per year, but if I want to start as soon as possible.
Yeah. Okay.
So as soon as I'm ready with
The
this.
chief has got.
Yes, Dan?
Chief?
Yeah, some of the vendors, I believe, the sidewalk vendors are existing shop owners that come outside. Are they included in that as vendors when they do set up outside their shop on the sidewalk, or are they exempted because they're already have an existing business?
Guess it depends on.
I would think they'd be exempt.
Let me think about that. I'll probably still want a COI from them, but they would have an existing COI under their general business insurance for that. But I don't know that necessarily we need to, who they are, so the background check is less critical.
Good point.
Do they
Thank you,
register with the chamber?
The shops,
No.
usually we let anyone have the space in front of them.
Oh, okay, so you're
Yeah.
not, they're just doing that of their own volition.
Yes. and
Okay,
we-
then
we
I
do-
can't force the chamber to give us a COI if they're not their vendors.
Mhm. Even though they're members of the chamber itself.
If they're just unilaterally, shop decides to open up outside, and again, it depends on how the festival's.
Catch 22.
And I'm going back to Applefest because it's the experience I know. Those vendors all essentially paid a lower price, but they had the right to, they essentially bought their spot and provided a COI, just like other vendors did. So if they're not and they're just doing it, we can have further discussions.
Okay.
But not all shops are members of the chamber. Some
Yes.
are just-
Oh,
Okay. All right. Sounds good. We will get this figured out. We'll be in contact with you if we need any other information. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Sugarloaf Performing Arts Center fee schedule. So at the beginning of the year, we had a discussion about the fee schedule. We were, we had that in our kind of reorg doc, and we didn't end up passing it for various reasons. But I'd like to revisit this. I'd like to put a bow on this so we can get it into place. Everybody received the proposed fee schedule from the advisory council, and then everybody should have received some comments from the members of the Sugarloaf Arts Collective about said fee schedule. I guess I'd like to give the floor to the advisory council if they can, to just kind of not run through the whole fee schedule again, but I guess go into the themes of it. You know, why, how they ended up where they ended up. You know, their reasons for why they made it that way. So, would the members of the advisory council come up real quick?
Sure.
Thank you.
We did our homework. How do we do our homework? We called our friends and our neighbors to see different life cycles of different performing arts center. Who specifically? Paramount and Peekskill, Bardavon, Ulster County. Actually, I grew up in Long Island, so the Tilla Center. We did the Goodspeed Opera House, which is Connecticut. And we saw their relationship, as we discussed before, about nonprofits and for-profits, prime and non-prime. It's not complicated. We try to maintain what we've had in the past with our fee schedule and just made some adjustments. What is the overall goal? Is to stimulate revenue. Right now we have 2 or 3 main bookers, which is Diamond Grade and the schools. We want to keep them. And so we set the same price, $2,500. We wanted to stimulate off-peak, which is Monday to Thursday, which you guys are just reviewing. And we wanted to give a little break to Chester residents. That's the overall thing we did. And that compares exactly to what, and I have all the, and I probably sent you too, the Paramount and the other places. We did some other things to stimulate, which is cleaning fees were sometimes optional. They're not optional anymore. Second shows, you can see this through. We maintain that with the pavilion and the outdoors. Just quickly, there's a $3 fee per ticket, correct, in the main theater all the time, not taken away if it's ticketed, and a $1 in the pavilion. So there was a question that we got on a note that recommended adjustment, $1, $3 per ticket for ticketed events. Some rentals currently don't pay a year per ticket cost. Not in our proposal. Everybody pays a per ticket cost, $3 in the main, $1. Okay, simple as can be. There was another comment about pavilion usage for town residents for specific category of events, birthday parties, family events, non-prime, unrented days. We're trying to stimulate revenue. So Monday to Thursday, if you have a birthday party, we'd love you to come. We did the research with Walt, and there were very, very few events. In fact, I went and called wedding planners in Goshen and Monroe. They don't really know about the place, and they'd be absolutely love to come in there. So the question was, how do we come up with a favored rental for birthday parties? It was really simple. We took Walt's calculations on fixed costs and variable costs, which is electricity and salaries, and we came up with about $410. The more you use it, it's going to go up a little bit, but $400 is roughly it. Our lowest fee for a birthday party or something would be $500, so we make our nut. The goal for us is we have a senior center. If you don't have the money for $500, let's push you over to the senior center or any other facility. We want to keep this place as happening as possible, but not lose money. So that was our basic components for us. We think we're fair. We gave a reduced rate, as you guys have that. We think we've been honoring the other performing arts centers. And again, our goal is to stimulate more business Monday to Thursday if we can. You want to chime in, please?
I don't think I have anything to add to that. That's right on. That covers everything.
So just again, the comments were $1, $3 per ticketed events. It's insistent. We want to do that. There's not any kind of alternative for that. And a discount for pavilion usage for town residents, we don't agree with that. We think it is discounted. We think $500 is fair for the pavilion. Any less, absolutely, $450, $400, whatever. We think that's fair, and push them to the senior center if you can.
Okay. Are there questions or comments for the members of the advisory board in terms of what they had proposed to us?
I guess one concern I have is that I'd really like to see a financial analysis, how you come up with this based on these rates, what the projected revenue is versus the expense. So we could see, is this going to break even? Is it going to lose money? Is it going to make money? I don't see anything to,
The best way, Councilman, is we looked at a place like Peekskill Paramount. The quality of their entertainment and the bigger theater, they're able to sustain higher rates. They're going to charge $3,200. Look it up, because they get a higher level of caliber of entertainment. We think $2,500, we can't do. We don't have the data now to do. We'd be happy to do an ROI.
I don't mean to cut you off.
Please, please.
It's for me to, to be satisfied to make a decision on what the rates are,
Sure.
I need to have a financial analysis so I can see where do we fall out, so we know at the end of the year, based on a projection of use
Sure.
and these rates, where would we stand?
We thought it was simpler. Based on the last 2-3 years of metrics, we're losing money. We are
Yeah, we
losing,
know
it's
that.
not working. So if it's not working, what do you do? Keep it the way it is or try to change it? How do you increase revenues, making it more attractive? We only have really basically one main booker. How do you attract more bookers? You get more people by making it more attractive and marketing. We're not marketing at all. No one knows about this place. I went to APAP. I spoke to Gersh Agency. They go, we'll rent it. We never heard of it before. You need to put money into marketing. This is all moot. There's going to be a change. We love doing this, and it's an exercise in futility, but we get a sense, because we're honest, is that this place will be disposed of in a different way, whether it be the county or a nonprofit or something. So this is conjecture. We're using comps. If you want to buy a house, you can do all the metrics you want, but you do the comps in Sugarloaf. We know what a 450 house looks like, 500 house, 550. We think $2,500 is the right amount with discounts. You want to charge $3,250? We can run numbers for you.
Yeah, I think you can only run as many numbers as you possibly can. I know a lot of research has gone into this, months and months and months of research. I don't know if there is much more of a financial analysis with the information that we have internally here in Chester that we can provide to the board at this time, at least, from your perspective. Is that correct?
I just want to add here that, the theater is coming out of being dark before COVID.
Yeah.
COVID, where everything was dark.
Mm-hmm.
Coming out of COVID, where theater took a long time to even begin to rebound. And then us starting this place up again.
So the historical data just isn't there.
So we don't have a whole lot of current data to go on. And we also have this dark hole of bad juju that we're coming out of. Because, I'm hoping like heck that we never have to come out of a situation like this again. That we never have to have our entire country shut down. So I just don't think that right now that you can look at this without understanding that we're in a historically one-time situation.
Right.
And so we're doing our best with what we can, but we don't have a whole lot of current information that's been available. How'd I do?
That's perfect. Let's be blunt. We only had, Walt can give us a number. How many dates were dark last year? Way too many dates are dark. What do you want to do? You got to market and get people aware of it. You can use the Logothetis paradigm. The Logothetis paradigm says the main theater basically breaks even. The cash flow is all coming from the pavilion. How? Kid shows, birthday parties, weddings, events, 7 days a week. That's the Logothetis paradigm. It worked. The problem with Richard is he booked very expensive shows and it kind of was fiscally not sound. But that will work again. We're not doing that. We don't have a marketing director, and I promise you, call up wedding planners. We'd love to, it's a gorgeous facility with a pond, a lake, a view, an eagle's nest. How many days did we have last year, Walt? Weddings? 2? 2 or 3? How many birthday parties? 6 or 7? There should have been 40. The people I've called in Goshen, I'll be happy to give you these numbers. We're all scratching our heads.
Yeah, good.
So our policy, I think, is to say too many dark days. How do we stimulate revenue for the time being, knowing that 1, 2, 3, 4 want to give it to the county tomorrow?
Well, let me correct you there. We have made no decision on any of that. I mean, we're in discussion, but I think everything is on the table. So there's been we're not even close to even saying there's any decision been made. And anyone out there that's saying that has been, I'm going to be very clear. I'm going to speak for myself. There has been no decision made. Okay, because some of that has come back to us that there's been a decision made and I'll repeat it again, there has been no decision made. We have had 2 conversations with the county, that's it. So we're in the moment right now. I said this earlier in the meeting, we've got to figure out ways to get people in there. That's what, to me, from my seat, that's what I'm charged with now. I can't worry about what's coming in the future. When it gets here, then then there's a lot of discussions that got to happen. But for the moment right now, we got to live this moment. We can't anticipate waiting that, in 27, Orange County is buying it, or Bob Courtney's going to buy it, put a pool there and close it. I mean, we can't look down. We don't know what's going to happen in the future. So we got to go within the moment. And I agree with it's hard because I worked on those numbers. And I know Larry and I think sometimes we debate on how we get to numbers. Okay, but there is no true numbers. There's been no true accounting really kept, okay, for a number of years. People might not like the comment, but it's reality.
Yeah.
Okay, we don't have. I started off with numbers that I was given by the controller, and I'm glad he's sitting here. Okay, we were 12,000 to the good, and you kept asking me, give me numbers, give me this final, and I said I'm not finalizing because I know these are not the numbers. Okay, so it kind of validates that there was no structure to numbers. Now we have some structure to the numbers. So I think what you have to concentrate on, and it's just from my seat, is how many days a week this place is dark. Okay, and again, what are we going to do to fill up those time spots? I know I've had a preliminary conversation with you. I forget, yesterday maybe it was, or the day before. They're trying something with some seniors coming in for some trips and doing a small show. I mean, that's the out of the box stuff we got to do with this place. And I think that's got to be the focus based on, I mean, if we went out on the street today and we said, listen, you can have the main theater for free. If we don't market that, nobody's going to know it.
That's correct. And one of the things that I do want to emphasize is that by doing what we've done and we put in a lot of research and a lot of time into this and a lot of discussion. And by trying to open this up and get things in and working from what we believe is the low end nut that we need to make to not lose money to bring something in. But by having, our numbers reflecting from the very least amount that we can bring in to break even and up, that everything we do is going to increase the viability of the theater because more and more people will see it as something that they want to use. And that each time that we get more information and review that information will be the richer, and we'll be able to understand how much we can charge. And in anything that we say right now, these are a rental rate sheet that can be changed. That doesn't have to be forever.
Right.
And so if we do find that this isn't working and this isn't going to be helpful to us, then obviously that number can change.
And that's it to your point. I'm sorry, I'm on a roll.
After you, Linda has a question.
Okay, I'm sorry, Linda. But to your point, I mean, we have a production going to be happening there, movie company coming in. Okay, we modified the rate. I mean, that's what the folks up on this board can do. So sometimes you have to call an audible if it makes sense. And so I get, I know I had a little involvement in the process. You all did. I appreciate it. I know how much work went in it. I was there for a lot of debates. I might have refereed 1 or 2 of them, but we had, I know there was effort put into this. I don't think we're trying to reinvent the wheel. From my seat again, is if we rented the place 20, we had 20 shows in there. Okay, I think the goal's got to be to get to 35. Okay, and I think if the back room we rented 20, we got to get that to 50. Because that to your point and to Richard's point, that probably is where our cash cow is. Okay, but it's how we get there. And the marketing is the big piece, which we don't have. Okay, and that's something that that's something I think we all have to discuss on this side of the table.
That pavilion would make a fabulous,
and I think out of
like
the
a
box,
hotel rental space if people do conferences and stuff. You
I've
could
been
you
talking
could rent
about
that for that.
conferences for 5 years ever since COVID when we put the
Yes,
fiber optics in there.
Robert, that's more difficult, sorry to interrupt you, but case in point, I just want to rehash, I did make calls yesterday, I'd be happy to bring to the board. One vendor in Orange County did a photo shoot. She's extremely busy. She would like to do weddings and bar mitzvahs and parties there. They said she cannot get exclusive. She's been taken out. And I said, would you use the place? She said, of course, what would you book it for? Probably 25 to 5 is the going rate. I called Villa Venezia, I called up Piccolo's or another place. They said she's incredibly busy. She would love to use it. There's a problem. It's not being used. It needs some marketing. It could be an hour a month, an hour a week of cold calls, which is really important to let people know this is common sense. To your point, if we're doing 35 days, we should be doing 50 days.
I mean, I think that's the approach, because again, we don't have true data to give us, and there was a few anomalies when you go back, usually use a 5-year history when you're gonna build something. We don't have that data. We don't have that information. And you have a lot of other obstacles that were in there. So that being said, I think you have to just, work, crawl before we walk. I don't want to reinvent the wheel. If we had 30 shows for the year, we got to get to 50. How we get there,
Absolutely.
It's got to be the discussion.
And just one other point for the documents is that, to call your attention, I think we went through it. We want everybody to pay a $3 ticket fee. If you go to Paramount, it's $7 or $8. $3 is fair. But what's new for our recommendation is the dance schools have not a quid pro quo, but they have, if you book 2 shows or 3 shows at other places, you pay a reduced rate, 50%. The dance schools now are allowed to do 1, 2, 3 shows a day, as many as they want, but they pay no per dollar fee. We thought it fair to pass along, not for them, for little Jimmy, for $20, I'll pay $21. And some of the dance schools were not happy about it. We think it's okay, because you're doing a multiple of shows per day, which is a break. So pass the $19 fee to $20, 25 to 26. We think that's a modicum and a fair thing and would raise money quickly. So we have some suggestions on how to raise money quickly, but it's up to you guys.
Go ahead.
Oh, thank you. Well, I think you answered my question just recently. You mentioned that weddings could be around 2,500.
Up to 15,000 now. We'll give you the people. Don't trust me. I'll
Okay.
give it to you.
So that fee hasn't been established, and
Correct.
that could be pretty lucrative, I would think. Ultimately,
I would recommend that your fee schedule, because it can vary so drastically, that would be a case by case basis and not a flat.
well, it is to BD.
Yeah.
The lady I spoke to, sorry to interrupt you, at Goshen said it is dependent on whether they're going to use the outdoor facility, have the wedding under a chuppah by the lake, how many people are going to be coming. She wasn't unnerved by the lack of kitchen at all. She goes, we have an electric stove. It's not a problem. She goes, we're fine with that. As long as you have refrigeration, we're good. So she was very gung-ho, this woman. She's not being attractive.
And then a suggestion as far as marketing, obviously it is an issue. We're not doing it. We do have, Facebook, and I think we have Twitter, or we have Instagram. We do have some access.
We have access to a billboard.
That
And then-
was going to be one of my other
Then you-
suggestions,
you do
but
have-
you could steal it.
And you have,
We do have the billboard.
You also have Diamond Great Media that does a lot too.
Yes.
But
There's a marketing campaign. We need to
There
go
are
through all this
vehicles,
stuff.
so
It's
it's
never been
just-
discussed properly.
but it's got to be, what,
The
we're doing all these
billboard's
things.
got to be public service announcements. It can't be advertising.
Well, isn't that a public, no, we wouldn't be advertising for a show, but we would be advertising
A
the
venue.
theater's,
The product.
the venue itself being available for the variety of uses, whether it's wedding or a birthday party or shows in the pavilion. We'd be advertising the theater, not advertising the shows. in the
But allow me
theater.
to give you a 20-second primer. There's a festival called APAP. It's a convention where every presenter, Diamond Great Booking, we all go to meet, to book. Everybody is there. We have a database of that. And the way it works in our entertainment business, what's called routing. If someone appears at the Paper Mill Playhouse and then goes to Peekskill, they might want to close the date on Sunday. Not just locally on billboards or locally. This has to be national. So if somebody's booking, pick Taylor Swift, and she can appear on Taylor Swift, but you can try to get somebody by marketing to them. It just takes time and effort. It's there, we have it. It's a database. It's like what you guys probably do in your sleep. It's to appeal to other booking agents to let them know that this place exists, it's reasonable, and they can rent it. We don't have to take the responsibility financially. They will rent it, they will pay for it. How do I know that? I went to the Gersh agencies. We never heard of you guys. $6.89, we can do a comedian, for sure.
I just got a question. Under the production cost, you have like technical directors, $55, and you have full lights, full sound. Have those things been charged for before? Is there-
Wonderful question. The way it's worked in the past is that, no, it's been outsourced. We have
Outsourced.
two people that we use, Diamond Grade recommends, and they're wonderful, Whoa, excuse me.
Yeah.
Two wonderful people that are responsible and terrific. We make nothing on that. Every other theater makes some money on it.
I mean, it's
right?
our lighting, it's our electric, but somebody else is collecting the money for
All
it.
the money. We don't charge anything for that. So that is an incredible black hole for us. That should be charged something.
Yeah, so I say it's
Look-
upon request, but there's
Do
nothing
your
associated
research.
with
Don't
that.
trust me.
Yeah.
Go look everywhere. They charge a surcharge for that. If you sell merchandise, if the artist sells, if Taylor Swift comes to Sugarloaf,
Yeah, see that, you
We
have
should get-
20%.
we've got to get something for that. So what we're recommending is a little more preventative, and
So we don't really have numbers for those, so,
we'd be happy to put it in. We don't have that in. We're just recommending you consider that,
yeah.
for sure.
I mean, it's standard, it's industry standard, it's what happens in every other theater. And we're just not getting,
You're just
Guys-
saying things out loud that are so.
Guys, hey, excuse me, I'm sorry, I understand.
That's okay.
I was gonna give you guys an opportunity to come up and say your piece after they were done, okay?
So it is outsourced, Councilman, at this point, to other people to do that.
Okay.
I don't think the Sugarloaf Performing Arts Center has the ability or does that at all. So our recommendation, what's called a technical director. Why is somebody, too often, guys like Paul Ellis, including me, will come in and we'll run the lights and we'll run the sound and all that. That's not efficient or fair. So what we're recommending is that one
Not good for
person,
the
a technical
equipment.
director, that has expertise. Too many things go missing, too many things are mishandled. The board's not level. So I called up a couple places. I go, don't you have a technical director? You should charge one of these wonderful people to come in and supervise. We get paid for that.
Yeah,
And they get paid.
the only other thing, with the ticket prices too, with the different prices for, it's all, for the dance and everything. I just look at it, we have one person paying $3 for the use of the theater. Even though you're saying they'll have 3 different throws, you're going to get triple the amount because it's 3 different shows, but it's unfair to the person that's paying $3 when somebody's paying $1 for the same use, for the same product. So how did that doesn't help. I
Our
don't know, I
thought
just,
again was to differentiate for profit. If I'm booking Taylor Swift, it's $3 a ticket. If you're an educational group, a dance group, a kids group and all that, get a break. It's $1 a ticket. That's the way.
I just don't want to hurt the person that's, we're renting a space for the same amount of money or whatever it is.
Correct.
But now we're making a differentiation for different things. That's
So your
all.
suggestion would be $3 for everybody or $1?
Either that or a blanket number for all 3, that type of thing. Even if it's lower than the 3, but I don't know.
I will
feel if
say
we got
that the
one
dollar,
paying
even
3,
adding the
it's-
dollar on to the dance companies was very difficult for them to take.
Yeah.
That,
They don't want
they're not for profit
Yeah.
really, and they use their parents work really hard to put these shows on
Yeah.
for their kids. So, that's really where we're coming from on that. It's if you're coming in and you're a local community group dance school, we don't want to price you out of this theater. We want to try to accommodate you, and that's where the differential price comes from.
I have a question about that too, though.
Sure.
Do you know the number of tickets that are sold by the dance companies?
That's a very good question. You have to ask Diamond Grade or Walt.
Yeah,
How's it
I
done?
don't think that that's a known,
Eventbrite,
Right.
Walt, would you know?
Say it again.
How do dance companies figure out they don't pay tickets now, but do you know the numbers that come in?
Most people probably answer that better than me. I think they use Eventbrite.
Eventbrite will
Okay.
tell you.
so, but the theater isn't aware of the number of tickets that
No,
are sold?
no.
Okay. I
We
just
just
was
think
curious about
it's a
that.
revenue source. You want to outrule it, don't give it. We think it's fair because they get multiple shows. We're trying to increase revenues in a fair, ethical way. Other things, again, as you said, is lights, sound, there's a projector. These are all taken from other theaters, merchandise, security, box office fees, ticketing, marketing. This is not unique. We're not inventing the wheel.
Just a question, because I don't know. I
Sure.
put cans of peas on the shelf my whole life. I didn't run theaters, but those numbers aren't blended into a total for the rental. Those are all like a la carte.
Very smart question. If you go to Peekskill, they will give you 2 contracts. I promise you. They will give you a la carte menu and it'll give you just a full menu at $6,000, everything's included. We can do that. Yes, sir, you're right. If that makes it easier, absolutely right. We'll give you security, box office, marketing for $7,500, that could be done.
How
We'll
do-
offer you both.
How do these rates compare to what is charged today?
How do these rates?
These recommended rates, how does it compare to the
We're
existing
lower than
rates?
almost everybody.
No, ours. I think
Our
Yeah.
internal rates.
Our
Oh,
rates,
we're the
the,
same?
the existing rates to
Yes, sir.
what this
So the
is.
top dollar, 2,500, is exactly the way it's been for years. We used to have a higher rate, I think it was $3,000.
yeah.
We dropped it around COVID. The pavilion's always been $750, I believe. And so we're not raising anything or lowering.
Matt,
These should be nine.
Matt, this is because I think you'll know. City of Middletown, what do they charge for a rental?
They charge me, so this gets into a bit of a bigger discussion here, of course.
Just give me-
They
just give me-
charge me $750 a rental because I advertise for the city of Middletown.
So you're not, so
Right,
let's just take that out of the picture. Bob Courtney's going to rent the Paramount Theater. What's
It's
Bob Courtney?
substantially cheaper than Sugarloaf when you figure out the per seat rental. So it's an 1,100 seat theater.
So you're renting it per seat?
Meaning, when you rent the theater, the rate they're giving you, you divide by 1,100, right? When you rent our theater at 2,500, you divide it by 679.
Well, I want to put on a show, so, and, they put cans of peas on the show, so I'm not that smart. So just
So
give
their
me,
theater is much cheaper to rent. I think it actually is cheaper than $2,500. I think it's $1,750 or $1,250 a rental. When you now take that per seat, because you can only sell a certain amount of tickets in the theater, right? So this all goes back to the gross that you can get out of the theater. So you can get a much higher gross out of an 1,100 seat theater than out of a
Yeah.
700 seat theater. So our theater, although the rate for our theater is cheaper than a lot of these other places we're discussing, it's actually much more expensive per seat, which is actually why it's hard to attract booking agents. So, a lot of what we're talking about here is that other agencies don't know about the theater. They do. Gersh, for instance, has been at the theater. So I don't know, I don't know how we're having a discussion that Gersh doesn't know where the theater is. We work with Gersh and we've had Gersh talent at the theater. So, it's hard to make money in that theater specifically. And that's why it's gone up and down over the years.
Yeah.
Because of the seating.
It's the per seat cost that you have to focus on. And even though the rate of $2,500 is cheaper than, let's say, the Paramount in Peekskill, which we're familiar with also, they have 1,100 seats. They also have an audience you don't have to spend a lot of money advertising to. They have a built-in audience. So today, I put a show into the Paramount, pay a little bit more for the theater. I pay way less in advertising, and I can sell 300 or 400 more seats. So it's actually not cheap, it's not cheaper. Every show that we do in our theater here, and I know that it applies to the dance schools, for some of the dance schools as well, there's a substantial advertising cost, really to have a successful show from an outside promoter. We happen to know this from doing so many shows here, right? But we have shows right now that came in from another promoter, right? We asked them to work with us because we kind of have the secret sauce to sell them the show there. They're not doing well because the theater's hard to sell tickets in.
Do they also have a per ticket fees at these other theaters?
There are per ticket fees at other theaters for sure. Most theaters are less. They're $3 a ticket. $1 a ticket
Okay.
when you go into the per ticket fees. Most of these theaters that we're talking about here are owned by 501c3, so that $1 per ticket fee stays and remains in the theater and repairs the theater. So, when we charge a $3 ticket fee, for instance, I don't even advertise that the $3 a ticket is from the town of Chester because I think it would hurt the sale. I think, frankly, it would hurt the sales, of the ticket. Because then people start asking questions. Where does the $3 go? Yeah.
If you want to be accurate, the Paramount that you just mentioned is exactly $9 flat fee per ticket, which includes a $2 historic venue fee. So it's triple ours. It's
Well,
not.
it's not, because that includes our ticketing services. So that's like the $5 a ticket for our ticketing website, which runs on the back end. That's not a per ticket fee like the town of Chester's $3.
No, there's a different, I'm sorry, there's a different fee for that. There's a different, there's a
It's
different.
a per ticket fee.
So you have an option. If you think that, we think $2,500 is fair,
Yeah.
you want to drop it to $1,500 to stimulate more for the next couple months, absolutely.
listen, I just said we could give it away for free. If we're not going to tell anybody, you'll do it the right way. And I I appreciate what Diamond Gray does and what everyone else does on social media, and I try to share stuff myself, but you get to a point and then you hit the wall. So that's where you got to reinvent the wheel and say, how am I going to get this word out? And we have all these platforms, but there's got to be something else that gets us out there. And I think it's bigger than the discussion than, tonight we could have.
Absolutely.
And it's a financial investment too. So.
We think, Robert, excuse me, Councilman, that it is marketing and availability of dates. If they want to come and say they have a Saturday, all the dates are booked in October, November, December, it's booked. They're not going to get it. So there's a myriad of different factors besides just $2,500. Are there available dates to go to Walt? So it's a little more nuanced, I think.
For me, right now, in the moment, I think we have to concentrate on the Monday through Thursday. I mean, that's going to be the difference, because we're going to keep doing the same thing, right? That's what we're doing. It's the definition of insanity. Because expecting a different result, we're not getting a different result. Okay, so we know that. And so now, I mean, I think the focus has got to be on the Monday through Thursday. I was hoping you would finally talk, Walt. Go ahead.
I just want to bring up this point that there's 52 weeks, and that means there's 156 weekend days that are a rental. Take out Memorial Day weekend, nobody's renting that weekend, Labor Day weekend, 4th of July weekend, Easter weekend. Now you're taking all of these weekends out. Now you're down to probably 42 good saleable weekends. And now you got to take out the summertime, because nobody wants to go out to a summer show. So you're taking out July and August, those weekends, because sporadically, unless you get a great deal, you're not going to put them there. So now you're down to about 38 good weekends. Dance schools are going to take their weekends. So that brings you down to probably, 26 weekends now? Now you're down to 26 weekends. Sundays aren't really that great of a saleable day, so you're taking away dates for that. So you're really down to desirable dates of only about 50 a year. And most of those are booked. And most of those you guys get, the town
Well,
gets.
that's why I'm going to go circle back to Monday through Thursday.
That's right. And
When
that's the
nobody's,
answer.
that's got to be the difference. And I don't care what 10 years from now, if we have this theater, I mean, that's going to be the success of it, is Monday through Thursday.
But am I able to?
I was gonna give you an opportunity, I promise. Are there any last questions for the advisory council?
No, thank you.
The summary is, you are right. Monday through Thursday are critical. There is a break-even point we don't want to go below, because that's silly. We think that's about $400. But more important is aggregating and just churning up business, so people come and book it more and more from Monday to Thursday.
Was there?
What was said about Peekskill having a built-in audience, we can have that here. We came very close to having it at one point about 6 years ago. And then the building was shut down and went dark, and then the town bought it after that. It can be a thing that happens. You can get a built-in audience. You can get people, but you have to be able to be out there for a period of time and let people get to know that you're out there.
Was there a question from the audience for the council?
I actually have a question about the technical director. Is that passing? And is that for every hour that you're in theater?
I think we're just discussing it right
To be
now.
discussed.
No, yeah.
We want to protect the equipment. We want to protect the
theater.
future, the theater, and why I know people that.
mean, it's scary going in there sometimes, knowing that there have been dance studios that don't know what they're doing, playing with the weights and stuff, and not knowing what's
You
going to fall
just-
in your head, to be perfectly
You
honest.
just hit the most important thing.
Yeah, you want to have somebody who can reset the counterweights every night
One of
when
the-
it's done.
One of the people that work for you, sorry to interrupt.
Brian would be one of those people potentially.
No, Brian and, what's her name, his wife? Oh, Brian's the sound man.
Ken and Angie.
Ken and Angie. Also, there would be other people available that I know many people through my union work.
But we don't have a union house.
It doesn't matter. They can work
But
pickup
It's not
days.
going that way.
In my research, I called up Angie, and she said the biggest risk financially and insurance-wise, and I know nothing about it, are the counterweights that are up there, that are not set, that are reset, that is an accident waiting to happen, according to, not me, don't quote me, Ken and Angie say someone should be there. We want to.
I'm going to say that. I'm a lifelong stagehand.
She
It's
said
a disaster waiting to happen, not having a technical director there.
And I've been saying that, and we've been talking about that now for years.
So if it's an hour before the show to set the show and an hour
Right,
after,
That was my
You-
question.
you
because
call it.
When I rent theater, I do rent it from Monday through Sunday. I spend $15,000 a week there. So I'm not paying an extra $3,000 for technical director to sit on the butt and just.
Monday said it, Sunday took it
Just
down.
checking. Yeah.
You raise another good point. We also, in our thing, every other theater has a weekly rate and a monthly rate. We say it should be determined. We want to give a break. If she's renting it for a week, it's not 2,500 times 7. We want to give a break. So it's in our proposal too.
One other question.
Sure.
The reduced fee policies, it's still being suggested 300 for the pavilion?
We went under, we hypocrites, we thought it would be a nice thing, $300. That was our fee. It's a little under. Yes, it's a loss
So-
leader.
I thought you mentioned that the cost was like 410.
That's 410, we
So
think.
that
So
would be
we purposely
a
went
loss.
under.
That
Yeah,
would be a loss, and that would be for Chester residents and Chester-run businesses, and it's not a large number of shows.
it's not.
Okay.
We're aware of it though.
I just
You're-
wanted to,
No, thank you.
And just one other thing I want to bring up also, with the birthday parties for the pavilions, you also got to coordinate those with, you don't want a Metallica cover band being in the big theater and then a little girl's 16, sweet 16 going on in the pavilion, because they're using the same bathrooms. So you gotta, that takes out other days scheduling. So, it's very hard to run two shows at the same time, especially when one is sold out. It's very hard to run the birthday party in there. Parking is hard, the bathrooms get very cluttered, and just the whole safety issues where you need to have somebody separating the two parties.
well, it almost seems that you would do that Monday through Thursday birthday parties, not Sweet 16, but
Nobody's having a birthday party Monday through Thursday. They all-
But that's
everybody
weekends.
wants a
it's all
Saturday.
weekends.
That's it. Nobody wants a Friday, nobody wants a Sunday, everybody wants a Saturday.
Yeah, I
Could
think
I-
it's gotta be, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, no,
I'm talking enough.
no, go ahead.
No, you got it.
I wasn't gonna say anything crazy.
But I don't want to.
I just think it's Monday through Thursdays, it's gotta be other stuff.
So
It's
we
not,
reach out to companies in the industrial park whenever you send them out there. Those we've been saying forever. Do stuff like
and we have the fiber optics, that was the whole thought process of putting that in there, you can, you know, Company X could do it through the whole United States, right out of that theater.
All right. At this time, we did also receive comments from the Sugarloaf Arts Collective. Would they like to step up to the table here?
And I think the comments that Jeff was reading were basically our comments. So I'm just going to start from just a fiscal review, which is what we were just discussing. So to the best of our abilities, people on our team who are accountants, just myself using the Excel document that I used to run the dates, and I made another Excel document that I used to make our contract proposal. So we have gone through, when we made our contract proposal, we went through a very similar process to what the committee went through to try and find, information on what the theater is making. We did it in a different way, right? So when I figured out how much money that I would want to rent the theater from you guys for a year to lease the theater, I broke down every single rental day all throughout a year, added them up. Then I broke down, maybe it's a little less or a little more. I went through this process. So when we take this recommended fee schedule, it's discounted. So it just to be frank, when I put it into that Excel document, it comes in tens of thousands of dollars less than what you would make if you had the same year, right? So the math side of this, which I don't know why we're talking around this, or it's this straightforward. Every time we get a Monday through Wednesday rental or Thursday, whatever you choose to discount, you're going to get, it's going to be at a discounted rate, which means you have to get 2 of them just to be where you were before. And you're selling Mondays to Wednesdays at a theater. They're almost unsaleable. So some of the concepts that we're talking about, like, trying to get businesses into the theater, we not only have been doing that, Walter and I have been calling places for 5 years almost, trying to get them into the theater. You and I have been working on it for a long time. It's the hardest sell there is. So if you discount those days, you're just discounting something that nobody really is looking for and it's hard to sell anyway. When you finally do sell one, you're making half as much money. So you need to sell 2 just to be where you were before. If you continue that,
I would debate that, because if you had nothing a year ago and now you rented it at half price, you got something. You would have nothing.
That's only if it's an additional. That's only if it's an additional. But what about the ones that you do have in the books that now cost half as much?
Yeah, but if your books stay even and we're talking about an additional. If your books stay even and it's 30 shows, and all of a sudden you add one show on, it's 31.
No, if you look at your Monday through Wednesday rentals, it's not going to stay even. You're going to take your current Monday. Let's just say it's last year, right? You're going to take your Monday through
Wednesday rentals. I almost want to say, and I'm not going to put my hand on the Bible. There's nothing now.
There's
in 2024. Did we have anything? 2024 that's.
I mean, there's Wednesdays and Thursdays. Yeah, sure.
How many, I guess, is
a handful. Enough that when I put it in the document, it comes up less than the year before, right?
And you don't believe that there's any which way that we could make up for that with more shows, with attracting, having our director make calls and try to
just by Melissa and I figuring out the discounts, even in other ways that we would end up having discounts. We started doing a fiscal analysis of this just on our own, and I can't see somebody debate that it's going to make you more money.
So what you're saying is, so if it was, I'm just using simple math. So it was 10 numbers last year. You put into that form 10 numbers this year at the new rate. You're saying it's going to lose.
It's not all 10 of them, right?
Wow.
Because there's some of them that stay the same. There's some things that do make more money, right? But there's enough of them that make less that it
Well, we
ends
should
up to
have
less.
that should be what, if we know it was going to make less. But currently we don't rent. I don't think, do we rent the theater currently? Do we give a discounted rate on a Tuesday or Wednesday? We don't have that, right? If it's the pavilion 750, it's 750, unless it comes to this board.
The theater part?
Well, no, either or, the theater or the pavilion.
Well, the theater, we rent out during the week because we rent it for like 4 or 5 hours and they get $1,250 as opposed to the $2,500. So we get something on those dates. But as far as, well, I think what Matt is saying is if we have 5 Thursdays or 10 Thursdays in the book already, and you're gonna go Monday through Thursday at $1,250, you're gonna lose 5 dates just with that. So you need 5 dates just to break even what.
No, I get that.
Oh, okay.
I get that. But
we don't have a lot of dates that come in Monday. When we had OME, they didn't care. They would put it done on the Wednesday.
Right.
Kevin James was on Wednesday. They didn't care. But the sellable dates are the weekends. So nobody really wants, maybe you might get somebody to do Thursday if they got a great deal. But Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday are dead days.
And don't forget the discount means they can't sell tickets. So if you got to understand the structure of show, you got to be able to vocalize what is the show that gets this discount on a Monday or a Tuesday, right? Am I wrong?
Is
You
there
can't sell
a
tickets?
question?
Excuse me, Matt, you're using the fee from the schedule that would only be available to, the fee that you're discussing would only be available to Chester residents who are doing a public party show, whatever, and not selling tickets. And that's what you're using that lowest fee for. And that would only be something that we would offer to Chester residents doing public show, selling no tickets.
Or a 501c3, right?
Selling no tickets and doing a public show. And yes, but that fee, that small lowest fee is for a very small group of people. It's not gonna happen, more than 10 times a year at best?
so let me get, so I'm clear on this. So the 5013C.
A plain old 501c3 that walks into the
C3.
theater and they're gonna do a show and they're gonna sell tickets, they're gonna pay more.
They're going to pay they're going to pay whatever the full price is.
Whatever the fee is, yeah.
So,
Right, but my 501c3 is in Chester.
And are you doing free shows that you're not selling any tickets?
No, but if I was able to do a show, right, that I'm able to sponsor, I'm able to collect donations, right, I would consider it because it makes me money that way. The breakdown, and I don't have that fee schedule in front of me, so it's.
Well, I do. I think it's
Is there a copy?
$17.50.
For what? For which part?
When Melissa and I reviewed it, we were able to go, well, here's all the dates in our calendar that fall under a discounted rate because the Sugarloaf Arts Collective is a 501c3 from Chester. So I can't see how, when we did the math to it, we couldn't see how you could take that amount of a discounted amount in the rates, just in what people are charged for the year, the revenue, and make up for it
Without selling tickets.
by discount, yeah, on people renting the theater on non-ticketed dates, on non-ticketed shows. So let's just see if there's a place I can focus on. Non-prime, 501c3 and Chester resident.
Yeah.
So,
So what I'm confused here because we're rented, the whole idea behind renting the theater is, and giving a reduced rate is for, say, residents. Why are there not tickets for those shows? What makes that show different than a regular show? Why is there not, if there's a ticket fee, why does the ticket fee always apply?
The proposal is that for that reduced rate, you would not be able to, there would be tickets, but you would not be able to sell tickets in order to enjoy the benefit of reduced rate. That's the
Right.
proposal.
Oh, okay.
It's supposed to be like a
If you're-
benefit.
If you're
Oh, so
proposing,
that's the
if you're
benefit. So it's for a
proposing
free
to
show.
sell tickets.
The way that we propose it would be that those events would be events that would be produced for the community, and that's why tickets would not be sold. It would be something that a Chester resident would be either doing a private party for themselves and not selling tickets, or somebody who's doing an event that's public and they're not selling tickets, they're bringing a cultural event to our community, and that was our way of saying thank you.
But would there still be
We'll do that
donations
this one
collected?
break.
Well, and that's, sorry, can I ask a question about it? Who's paying for that show then? Who's paying the performers in that instance?
Example, we have a member, his name is Tim Hassler, and he's a Yale graduate drama school, and he's dying to start a Shakespeare festival.
Okay.
He came to me, would you please help me do that?
Mhm.
Absolutely, can you get some actors? I have no budget, I'm part of a grant, and he says, I'll do it for free. He had 31 people, Walt was there. I did donations only, free, wide donations, we wanted to attract people. Community, come see Shakespeare, it's coming to Shakespeare, we had 31 people.
But we're collecting cash at the door.
Cash at the door, we made about $100, $120, I can get one of the people to vouch for that.
I think, most grants that I've ever applied for make you show the income that comes in, and they want to know that if they're giving money to a performance, that you are also bringing money in. So for me, it's confusing because I'm a nonprofit, and I would love to get a lower rate for my shows, but I can't put on a show and not collect money. So if I'm collecting money at the door, then where's that cash going? So are we really is it going, it just doesn't seem like it's being.
That's a catch
It's
22.
incredibly easy.
I don't
Lawrence
like it.
at Hudson, that administers our grant,
This is
can
what
charge if you like. People like me want to try classical music, and Shakespeare, they're losing money, they'll show our records are transparent. They don't ask for any of that kind of financial records. Lawrence at Hudson.
I get that grant, yeah.
this is a different concept,
We lose money.
which we brought up at one of the meetings and I just would like to bring it up once, just to be discussed out loud. Some of these discounts make sense if you're somebody who runs shows for free on a grant and the town gives you the theater at a discount or for free. That person made this fee schedule. So there are discounts here that apply to the usages of a theater to be used in the way that the people on the committee will use the theater per the discounts in the fee schedule, which also is why when it goes into the document, it doesn't make sense and it doesn't add up math-wise because it was made with an inherent bias to people that use the theater, right? So it would be as if I made you a fee schedule that benefited one of my side projects, and then you went to go do the math and it didn't add up. We would all be able to say why it didn't add up. It was, well, obviously there was a little bit of a bias there and it got tuned in that way. And I don't think it was I think it's perception is part of this, but in the end, the math doesn't, it just didn't add up. There's dates coming into the books that I'm working hard that I pay for to get you guys more dates. They're going to come in now on Wednesdays and they're going to be cheaper. I can't understand why, if you want to make more revenue, a discussion could have been had that involves Melissa and I. We can put more dates in the books immediately. We're the ones that do the advertising. So we're sitting up here talking about that you guys need more advertising. We do the advertising. And we don't just do it for the shows, by the way. We've done it for a lot of other
I'll
programs.
ask the question then, because I hear what you're saying, but you've sat at some of these meetings. Why wouldn't have that come up at that point? I mean, instead of we're having this like
Why didn't what come
round
up?
going on. It was saying what you just said. Say, listen, we could do this. Let's have a different
Oh,
discussion.
it had, I mean, I've had discussions with you in particular and at those meetings about,
I know we've always talked about more dates, but you've never said you and Melissa to me, unless I'm starting to get Alzheimer's. I've never remember you saying that we could put more dates in there, and I think that would have been a different discussion than what they're having here. The committee. I mean, if you just said at the committee, hey, listen, we're looking to put more people in here. Let's have this discussion. I don't remember that.
I
apologize if
mean,
it happened, but I don't remember it.
you know, I don't want to be combative at all, but it did happen, and we have actually some of those discussions that we had at those meetings, which involved bus trips, which involved those discussions happened at those meetings. There were ways to get more people into ticketed dates that pay full price, and let's just look at those right there, right? So we have 4 Wednesdays right now that are booked for 2025. It's going to be 10 to 15 when we're all said and done Wednesdays. So if we write that down, we use the 501c3 fee, they're not at full price. So I just don't know. In other words, most of the people booking in the theater, a discount on those dates doesn't just aggregate you more people. Advertising does, but you're talking about needing a pretty substantial advertising budget.
No, I know.
And this is the part of this that's hard for me to vocalize myself properly. You know, when you guys were discussing how the theater came out of COVID, right? And before COVID, it was closed. And it was us that did the advertising that pulled the theater out of the black hole that it was in. We continue to do advertising to do that. It's been over $1 million in advertising. It's well over now. It's approaching $1.5 million in advertising that we have done. So the idea, and that doesn't even include what she's done, right? So the idea that we're not having a discussion about how to advertise those days and you guys partnering with us to work on that, and instead of discounting days, there's just no reason to, I just don't understand the thought process there. If you want to make more money at the theater, don't discount the days. Talk to us about advertising, figure out how we can somehow benefit where I'm not just paying for the advertising for the town, and you'll get more days at full price. That, you know, there's a lot of different work that can be done from Walter with working in collaboration with the committee that Jeff can be doing. There's the idea of creating discounted days because people on the committee use the discounted days is not the way that that's supposed to go.
I'd be very careful of.
I understand.
Of saying that. Let me just cut you off here.
Sure.
Let me ask a question. If what Matt is saying is true to the committee here, if what Matt is saying is true, and there's a way to advertise for more and keep it at full price, would that make discounting moot? Would you, if we're in that hypothetical, are we living in that reality? Is that the case, or is this a little bit more complex?
So can I just say one thing? We started this whole fee structure with the intent of getting more foot traffic.
Yeah.
That was our goal.
Yes.
Our goal was initially to get foot traffic. Yes, we want to make money, but getting people in and knowing about the theater was what our purpose was. Because we said a year, we'll give it a year, see how many people we can get in. We can raise our prices later on, but our intent was foot traffic. And now it seems like everything is blowing up, and it's not actually fair to say that somebody is doing it for their own best interest. It's for the best interest of the community who enjoys that type of shows, which is why the center was originally started.
Lee.
I'm not really certain how this has evolved into an adversarial sort of conversation. Matt should be talking with us, and we should be talking with Matt. There shouldn't be anything adversarial here. We're all trying to do something for this town and for this theater. And I'm really confused as to why it's feeling that way to me.
I mean, I can tell you.
Speak on that,
Yeah,
actually?
sure.
So it's feeling that way because as a person who spends $60,000 a year there for their business, and I'm not considered to be one of the main bookers, I feel like no one has spoken to me, period. No one has come to me to find out, well, Melissa, what do you need? So when this committee was formed, I felt a little bit like I was being pushed away or not considered. You know, and I think Matt has similar feelings about that because he's put a lot of time and a lot of money and a lot of energy into making this theater what it is, and to not be brought into the conversation. Or I think personally, I feel like it's, you know,
Yeah,
we talked about this before.
There were,
So that's why it's feeling like this, because this is like the first time I've been in the room.
I would just say that
Two easy answers, I'm sorry to interrupt you. One, we made it endemic to people that live in Sugarloaf and the community, so that's why I think you went out, because it was made as a business kept Peralta. You certainly should have a seat at the table. And the second thing, Matt is a booking agent. He is a promoter for profit, and so we thought that was antithetical of what we're doing. But as a way of being embraced and Catholic in view, we have public meetings. We had 4 or 5. He is at most of them. He talks. He has equal talking with all. These are public meetings that you can attend too.
I understand that, but you know, yes, Matt is a booker and he can make a lot of money from that. But the amount of money that he's put back in the nonprofit
I've made
runs,
no money from booking.
You know, I think that deserves some respect and it deserves a little bit of appreciation.
okay,
I'm sorry.
I want to stick away from the personal stuff as much as possible. Is there anything that we can do today to get to a point where the majority of us up here on this board and over here is comfortable with a fee schedule? I want to put a fee schedule in place. What are the specific changes that you would like to see? Is it just the no reduced rates? Is that what you're asking for?
This really isn't very different than what it is already.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're talking about $100 a rental, $200 a rental. It's not really going to make a big difference in the grand scheme of things.
The recommendation that we were making was basically to keep it as is, except make a very conditional discounted rental for the pavilion space or for private events, right? So that would be a birthday party, that would be a funeral, that would be some type of local, you know, just so local citizens have access to the space. But otherwise, basically be keeping the fee schedule as is, because any effort that we make to do additional rentals, which, by the way, there's a lot of additional rentals that we've already started to talk to people about, and I've been talking to people about that now are going to come in. Most of these places are 501c3s. Most of the rentals will end up probably coming in under me.
So
can I just ask for clarification of that? Because what you're saying in my mind does not agree with what Lee is saying about who qualifies for that discount. Is it any nonprofit, or is it a nonprofit that's a Chester resident that is not charging a ticket fee? So that's isn't that a different group of renters?
Yeah, that's a group of renters. So like, let's say it's me renting the theater. So I work with businesses through the Orange County Chamber that I would have hire us to do their presentation, right? Let's just say, and they're going to have a meeting and they're going to have it at the Sugarloaf Performing Arts Center. That's the goal. That's something that Bob Courtney and I worked on for a long time with the chamber. The chamber is ready to meet with us and talk to us at any moment. They just want to have a meeting with councilmen and talk it through. So we would rent the theater and do a non-ticketed event. It's not a ticketed event. It's a presentation where they're going to have a PowerPoint presentation. They're going to be on the stage. That would have a discount. And there are those coming. There's a rental coming that's 2 days. That is the Miss America pageant. You know, it could be discounted.
So what's the Chester residency qualifier in that instance?
I live in Chester. And I own a 501c3.
You would be the one.
I'd be the renter, right? Because unless they have insurance and they're going to go through the rest of the progress, and I'm the one selling the theater to them at that moment, right? I'm the one contacting them, doing the work to
promoter,
spending the time to reach out. So advertising, right? You know, currently, and
okay.
I'm
just trying to understand.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a line here of what I do for myself, and I'm sure you guys understand that that's a gray line, right? Which I'll fully admit. What I do for myself and what we do for the theater, right? There's an APAP yearly fee that we pay. There's an AIBA yearly fee that we pay. There's 2 or 3 Orange County Chamber of Commerce yearly fees that we pay. There is we have breakfasts at the theater from the Orange County Chamber of Commerce. You guys came to it last time. I pay for the breakfast. It's $1,500, right? These are all things that we do to promote people coming into the theater. That just really we should be working together to get more of those rentals.
I think if I could just jump in, to me, I think the 501(c)(3), I don't think we should have that in there at all. It was never in there before. I believe that's what's kind of causing some of this, what's going on. But I'm only one vote on this board, so that's my thought on it.
I rent theaters in our area and all across the country multiple times a year, right? So you guys know I do like Netflix comedy specials, right? So I rent casinos, I rent theaters, and part of my frustration when I was listening to them talk, we're hearing things like every theater, or this is the norm. And I can tell you, those things are not the norm. And that's not the way, and every theater functions differently and has its own needs and pricing and usages. Most of the time, things are not made on a giant graph like this that needs to be gone back and forth. The advisory panel gave themselves the responsibility of pre-screening the people who will get a discount. That's how complex this is, that they thought that the town board would have too much of a responsibility dealing with that they gave themselves that responsibility. It's at the bottom of their fee schedule. So, these things seem, when you look at it all as one big picture, they go together with each other. And I just think there's problems with it. And I think in the end, the math didn't add up. So all those things combined, were why we had an issue at the beginning. If I can just add 1 or 2 more things before I go sit down. We're talking about weddings, right? Being in the theater. There's no discount needed for weddings. And weddings can be had at that theater at any time and often for a much higher rate. Just the wedding business alone, which again, this is where I would talk to you guys in a partnership, right? I've mentioned this at town board meetings before. So if we can create a partnership where I sell weddings, I shoot wedding videos all over the place. We deal with weddings constantly. I do the AV for weddings. If we're able to make a collaborative relationship where we can sell weddings, that by itself could change this whole revenue without even doing one other thing, So rather than be working on a discounted fee schedule that focuses on getting boots on the ground in the theater by giving a discount to days that are off days anyway, why are we not talking about how to make more revenue in the theater and figure out how to actually make bucks for the town? It's not out of it's not out of the power that we have to do. And it's certainly not out of Melissa and I, just by ourselves. The Sugarloaf Arts Collective now has 6 organizations associated with it. All of them are focused on the theater. That's the goal, is to get more into the theater there.
I'm going to cut you off.
Sure.
So I don't know, Supervisor, what your thought on is, or what the other members on the board. What if it sounds like we probably have to regroup on this?
I think that the picture we have to really look at is we have a fee that we're going to charge for the rental. We have to clarify a fee for tickets. I think it's got to be a universal fee, because why is one person paying more than another? Because right now, if we go with a fee schedule we have now, we don't have ticket. We have nothing for ticket things in it.
I guess
So
that's back to my point. I think there's been some sort of, I'm going to use the word miscommunication between the advisory board and Diamond Grade and Melissa not being involved in it. Is maybe we just go back and sit down. I'll make myself available, Supervisor, if you can't be there, and just let's hash through some of this other stuff. Because here's what I take away from this: you got a lot of passionate people in the room. You got a lot of passionate people who want to do the right thing. Everybody wants to see the theater succeed. And I think we have to, the waters are muddy right now. We have to just get them cleared up and clear that path to get to that common goal. That's my thought on it.
Lee had a question or a comment.
I didn't really have a question. I just really wanted to say that the reason that we came up with discounted fee, which is making a whole big thing, was really for a very, very small group of people. And it was really.
I'm sorry. I sent you something.
Oh. It was really about giving something back to our community. It was about residents not businesses have, or residents, apostrophe S, not businesses, having a chance to be able to use the theater that's in their community.
And it was limited
And
to
that was
1
the
month, a
spirit
1 day month.
Of what we were trying to do with this one category, the last and least used category, which is all we talked about tonight. And then I know you were in the room when we discussed this, and we did discuss this with how we would be able to make sure that they were residents, how would we be able to make sure, that Joe Smith from Goshen didn't go to Ken from Chester and
Yep.
ask him to get the rental fee reduced. It was really about the spirit of giving back to our community.
Yeah.
And it wasn't about,
Money.
it
And that's
wasn't
the,
about this, and it was about a very small group.
And I think to that point, Lee, I think that passion is in the room. It's just, I think we just have to try to really regroup and really take a closer look at it. I
If I
mean,
could
just
I gotta leave for another meeting, but you're 100% right. Passionate people, but I really beg you guys to do your homework. Call up theaters and find out, is he right or are we right? Is it just in the clouds that there's a nonprofit? Everybody is being charged, nonprofit, non-prime, or he's right.
well,
Everybody's
I don't think it's a matter of right or wrong. I really don't, because, so one person's right. So what do we prove at this point? At this point, I think we have to all sit down, get rid of all that minutia, okay? Because that's what's fogging us up, right? Who's right or who's wrong? I don't care.
He's right.
I don't care who's right or wrong. I think there's probably right and wrong through the whole thing. But
let me interrupt you. He's right. We are losing.
yeah, no, well,
money, and that number scares the heck out of me.
That's
We're
where-
saying, what can we do to make things
and I
different?
think I don't think anyone in this room, if I was asked to show of hands, and I'm not a kindergarten teacher, I wouldn't embarrass everyone or insult everyone. Everyone wants the same thing.
Right.
It's how we get there is going to be the key. I think we gotta stop with egos and leave the egos outside the door. Come in, if there's agendas, leave the agendas outside the door, and let's sit down and have a candid conversation on where we need to go.
I mean, can we have a candid conversation about that?
Well, I
This
think-
committee
I
had
think tonight-
private meetings that people can't go to,
Listen, and I
right?
think
I mean,
that's-
these things start these
Matt,
problems
I'm
that we
gonna cut
have.
you off, Matt. I think that's what's gotta go in this private, that's when we sit down again. I don't think it's for this forum tonight.
Sure.
I think we all agree that, it's broke, we're passionate, everyone wants the end result, right? And I'm sure, again, I'm speaking for myself, the theater, we wanna see it thrive. Okay, it's a jewel of our town, it's a jewel of Orange County, okay? So we all want that. So we all have that goal in common. If you didn't want that and they wanted that, then we got a different discussion. But this is what we have. So I think we got to put a pin in it for the rest of it, tonight. Okay, everyone's got to come down in temperature a little bit. Let's set up a meeting and let's go through this whole thing and let's just finally come up with something that is going to work, that's arbitrarily going to work for everyone. My goal is, I don't care how you look at the numbers. We got to put dollars in the register, right? Okay. We have dark days. Okay. We have to, that's what we got to focus on. Okay. I mean, we can get into the fee schedule. If we're going to reduce stuff, you got to have a business plan for that. There is no plan. We can, and I appreciate everything Diamond Grade does for us. And I appreciate everything. I got to meet Melissa for the first time. I appreciate all that she does. And I truly mean that. And I appreciate what this committee is trying to do. We just got to get on the same page and be talking the same talk. I think at the end of the day, we all want the same thing. It's just how we get there.
I just would like to,
I'm done.
I would just like to cut the time on all this because it is halfway through February and we haven't done this yet. And the committee has spent too long working on this already. So I would like, you have a copy of this proposal. I would like you, instead of all the conversations and all that, I would like you to go through with a red pen and just tell us exactly what your side of the table would like to see changed or removed or whatever. So when we actually sit down for this meeting, we can make it very quick and have a very quick debate about each point and then go back to the town board and then go on with our lives here and make a decision.
I mean, I basically did at the beginning when Jeff was reading the recommendations, those were the recommendations that we made regarding what, take the current fee schedule we have, alter, the $1, $3 thing to your liking,
I think we
and give a reduced rate to.
No,
to
but
local
I
groups.
literally mean put it on the paper
Yeah, let's
for us.
I think everybody just do what the supervisor's saying, and then we sit down, let's have a candid conversation. It could be like, I use this line another time. We'll go into the conclave, and when we have a poll, we'll let the white smoke out, and then we have a policy we want to present to this board.
Can I just, because from my perspective, and Walt's perspective, we have a number of contracts coming down the pipe that we need to resolve. I can see Walt's face. So this is where, hi, I'm the lawyer. Hi, my name is Debbie
The
Dower.
26th.
So, no. As of right now, pending a new resolution, I'm of the opinion that the fee schedule as set forth in the 2024 reorganizational document is the standing fee schedule.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Until you guys vote otherwise.
Yes.
Walt and I will continue to use that fee schedule. If someone wants a deviation from that fee schedule, they need to come and ask for such relief from the town board on a case-by-case basis. So moving forward right now until further vote, the 2024 reorganizational document, which has that fee schedule, will control. Does that answer your question? And if individual bookings need a deviation from that, they need to come seek relief from the town board.
When was your next committee meeting, the advisory committee?
We haven't said it yet.
You haven't said it yet? All right.
So
Let's-
I'll touch base with you on that other.
It's just, I have dates up until December 23rd. Am I filling those contracts in with the fee schedule now?
No.
Oh,
Well, that would really defeat the
I have it in
purpose
the-
of a
I have it
new
in the
fee
books
schedule,
right now.
guys.
We can't amend it.
No, you
Let's-
can't amend a
can we-
contract after you
No,
sign.
once you tell
No,
somebody.
you can't tell somebody, oh, you can
No,
have
no, what I'm
1,500
saying,
and now it's
no, what I'm
1,250
saying
or
is if
whatever.
we had somebody new come in and we amend.
What I would suggest is, Walt, let's finalize everything, because I know you have stuff.
I'll
like-
tell you what I have, and then you tell me.
Let's work on a rolling basis. Let's get
Okay.
everybody like up through June, July locked in, and then we can focus on everybody else.
Okay.
That's what I would suggest.
I will work with Jeff and
But I don't
Lee to get a meeting scheduled, and you,
And we'll,
and you.
Yeah, this way we get.
do you want to make it a committee meeting, or do you want to make
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, I think I have to commit me.
The committee needs to be
That would be
there.
great. We'll just have a meeting, because the whole committee will be
Melissa,
there.
make
You know,
sure
I have
people
to
be
ask for
available
this
for
out
that.
loud. You know,
We got to figure out a date.
you know, I think that there is a definite damage done to some of the frustrating discussions. And then we come to a committee meeting, and for the first 30 minutes of the committee meeting, we're not allowed to be present. And, you know, I don't fully understand why that is. I would if somebody could explain that part of it to me, where I
Nobody
understood.
should be excluded from any part of the meeting.
Maybe
It's a
there's a
public
good
meeting,
reason
there's
for
no
it, but
exclusion.
it seems often, and you got to remember, I know people on the committee. It seems often that those discussions are private for a reason, because they have to do with me and with
Well,
other
I think
people.
that's the
And
stuff we go through, because to my knowledge, I don't know of any meetings that were pulled except what we've all had at the theater, but if there was any
no, they
other
were the ones at the
meetings-
theater. Most of those meetings start with a 30-minute meeting that we're not allowed to attend.
And I think early on, the supervisor had put out not to do that. And, you know,
Yeah,
and have-
Let's
have
move
the-
forward and not do that. Let's move forward and make them public meetings that we can just all be public at.
Well,
And
they're
if there's
supposed to be
something,
public meetings. They're held at a public place, but they're supposed to be a public meeting.
well, it is
Well, ours
different
is
because
different.
they're
Ours-
elected
ours is-
officials.
All right. Yep, I understand all the points. I get it. We're getting late here. I understand where you're coming from. I'm going to speak to the attorney about that sort of thing from going on in the future, okay? And
Sure.
and I will address it very clearly to both the committee and anybody else who is interested in that. All right? Great.
Thank you.
All right. So fee schedule is still TBD.
Is that like the third point on that schedule?
Yep. I'm not really sure how much we're gonna get through here,
I would
you know.
just 15 more minutes. And then
Yeah.
because you're gonna lose productivity.
Is the rental use agreement, is there something we need to talk about that, or is that there's not enough time at this point?
Not enough time.
In a 15-minute conversation.
I honestly think that all of these other conversations
Are linked.
are linked
Yeah,
and
they
are
Except
longer
for the
term.
parking, maybe.
Yeah.
I agree.
All right, so the parking policy, we're gonna table the rental use and the policies and procedures. All right, making progress here. Parking policy. Linda, Neil, and Walt met and realized that we were kind of miscommunicating all this. Does anybody out of those three want to come up and talk to the board about it?
Come on, well, you've been on vacation for a while.
So we've been talking about the parking, and we went and met, and we thought it was for every show. So even Diamond Grade shows and Melissa's shows, that there was gonna be some kind of a town parking attendant out there collecting whatever the fee was. And then Brandon walked into the lunchroom over here and said, no, it's just for the festivals and stuff like that, which is what we've always done. Right, the festival down there, there were a couple of other times.
Additional events.
Yeah, additional, right, so the
Danny Mulvey?
No, Mulvey didn't charge though, Mulvey didn't charge for parking.
No, I know, but like.
So this was just for charging of parking. So we really only did it four times a year. The 2 weekend days for the fall festival and 2 of them for the spring festival. And we were collecting a $5 a charge cars out there. We hired, one of our parks guys, and he went out there. We didn't know that's what you were looking for. We were trying to put together a fee schedule where,
Everyone was.
like Saturday night when we're gonna have snow, somebody's gonna be sitting out there collecting $5.
So for those very small amount of events, what have you guys kind of come up with?
I think we just came up with the $5 a fee, $5 parking fee for it. We just have to figure out how to do it. You can't do it Apple Pay.
I think one of the requirements, which was from the insurance possibly, was that we had enough coverage in the lot. Like there would be certain, we'd have to have signage.
Yep.
We'd have to have a waiver, like it might be on the ticket.
Not responsible
but-
for your car signs.
Yes.
Park at your own risk.
Yes, park at your own risk. And the comptroller was addressing the issue of the handling of the monies. Who could receipt the monies, who could provide a ticket, and then a third person who would be directing the traffic
Correct.
type of thing. So you might need 3 employees to be present during that time for parking.
So with what you make on tickets or parking, does it cover the cost of?
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
People are
it'll
working.
Yeah.
cover the.
More than.
cost.
I mean, we probably
I mean,
make
you're not
about
gonna-
$6,000 on the weekend in
Okay.
$5 fees. I mean, if you got 3 employees to work 8 hours a day and whatever it is, $30 or $40 an hour, it's $240.
What, you
You're
got
gonna
to post somebody at multiple places also, because you can come in on the backside?
No, we put a
Barricade.
barricade and some cones and stuff, so you have to come through here. I mean, listen, somebody's gonna go through the trouble to jump curbs
Yeah.
and park their car and do like a Batmobile spin, then we can't stop them.
Okay, yeah.
But we make enough money in $5. And I think, listen, it would be great if everybody had Apple Pay and they just put their phone up against our phone and be done. But there's a lot of people like me that don't know how to do Apple Pay. And so you got to take a $5 bill from them.
So is there a way to do the cash or no?
I think, Neil had explained that it could be done, but we needed to have a separation of duties, right? For internal
So
control.
you would need somebody to hand out, one person to hand out tickets, one person to collect the money, and then one person to, if you're doing an 8-hour day, you need somebody to cover breaks.
Yeah.
Is essentially the way it would work.
Because, yeah. 100 tickets should line up with $500.
So is there a written procedure that we can institute?
I mean, we could write one.
Well, I think
Right.
I put something in an email.
I see
think it
here.
was sent in an email.
Yeah,
And then the tickets also had to have on there that you're not responsible. They had to be right on those tickets also that you're.
That's a
not
cost. I
responsible
mean,
for
that's
your-
going to be a cost to have those made.
Yeah.
I don't know if Tommy Flynn still does it. Tommy Flynn used to do for like events like that. He would buy the tickets, but on the back, he would put Flynn Funeral Home as an advertisement.
And then you would need to have the proper
yeah,
signage.
this was our,
Yeah.
what,
Right, and then we would
the
use
insurance
that, make sure,
company address.
insurance, because it's not all paid. That sort of was one of the issues.
Yeah.
that the insurance
I think
company
it's-
brought up was
It's got to be safe.
the parking lot isn't all paved, so, do you have enough handicap parking? Do you have enough, right? Like, it becomes a
Those are
little bit
yes.
more in terms of what you have to put together to make sure that it's safe for,
Yeah.
people to walk from their car to the facility.
But then again, you got like the firehouse, if they're doing something, they're charging tickets and they're parking on the grass.
See, the only difference,
I know.
last year we gave away the parking for free and we had all of those liabilities and none of the $5. No, I'm saying we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are. We had all of that liability with no revenue coming in. At least if we charge $5, we have all of that liability and revenue coming in. So I think in the past, what we've done, we've had an adding machine. When the car comes in, five. And then we give you the tape at the end with the money and there you go.
Right, but to be more,
Right.
you know,
But that's
we
why
have
you
to step
one
it up
person
a
giving
little
out
bit.
the ticket, one person collecting the money, so that's the person collecting the money, isn't also clicking the thing.
That's correct.
saying, Right, because you don't know.
Correct.
So, yeah, have that separation. of duties.
Yep, that's fine.
Less likely to have.
But we've narrowed it down to 4 events and maybe 1 or 2 other ones during the year.
There's also the Halloween Festival, there's the Holiday Festival. The Halloween Festival this year had 2,500 people come. Yeah, that's another.
So that, that's up to the town board if they're gonna start, if they want to charge for parking for the Halloween festival and the Christmas festival
Policy just has to be.
and stuff like that. I mean, that's up to you guys.
Yeah.
But I do know that,
Well, is the Halloween festival considered a town event? I thought it was more like a quasi, the businesses, right?
It's a partnered
Yeah.
event.
It's a partnered event, maybe that's where it's 250. But,
you're gonna make me do
because-
math now?
No, I'm joking about that, but the point is, the street fair, the festivals are not town
No.
events.
We're
But
just,
yet
we're,
We were providing a place
Parking.
for parking.
Yeah. So I guess moving forward, you guys did write out something here and it's good. How does our attorney, I guess, foresee us moving forward with a actual procedure?
I think it would just be, it would be part of your fee schedule. The board should adopt, don't shoot the messenger, adopt a policy. When is parking applied? When is parking not applied? Once you have that policy, you can then set the procedure. I do agree with Neil in terms of not just one person. I have seen it, I've certainly seen where, a teenager has pocketed, and I won't name which municipality, pocketed a couple bucks, not a lot of bucks, but a couple bucks. I certainly, we need to be up to speed with our insurance carrier, since we are collecting money, there is a greater responsibility.
I think we ran that past that.
I based on this email, it looks like it looks like we've been having emails, because I'm going through, Linda, your email from the 27th, and there's the whole chain. We just need to make sure that we take care of that.
So Walt, can you put together a list of the
events.
potential days,
Yeah.
events that we would use something like this for?
Right. I
And
have
send
them
it
in
to
the
the
book already.
board, and then the board can, at the next meeting, institute a new fee schedule for
That's fine.
parking. Does that sound good?
Brandon, would you also want to make a list of what signage we need that the insurance company said we were lacking?
That is in the email
Yeah.
from Linda.
Okay.
Yeah.
We can get those back.
Yeah. Thank you, Walt.
Yep.
All right. We got a very few minutes left here. Do we have enough time to discuss NAPSU mowing or no? In this.
Can I ask just one quick, I know, just because we're here to cover the performing arts, Center, the volunteer, the new volunteer agreement that you had Kristen working on?
The handbook, we do not have enough time to discuss that. But if you have comments, please send it our way and we can
A red
talk.
line, please.
Yes. Make it very
No,
clear.
seriously.
Yeah. Make it very clear what you want to see changed or removed. Literally red line stuff.
Even if it's a red pen, handwritten, a red line, please.
All right. NAPSU mowing, guys. Do we
put
have
that
time
up
to
the
talk
next
about
meeting?
this or should we push this off?
Next meeting.
Next meeting?
Yeah.
All right. Is there any public comment?
None.
Public comment? Seeing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Motion and second, all those in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned.